during my childhood in the streets of New York, the lifestyle that we led and everything and getting along with other people, it was, a normalcy there. However, when I got older and I joined the military and I got stationed in Camp Lejeune, there was still animosity between both races there, meaning white and black. And we had to have curfew because there were actually, and I'm sad to say that there were killings that were going on. It was really bad, and that was really my first taste of racism to the extreme.
There was a lake called Grover's Lake, and it was up in TR. And you used to go there and fish, and they had like a little shelter, and they had a little store, and then they had the bathrooms. And so I had to go to the bathroom. And my grandma said, well, go on up there and go to the bathroom. Okay, mind you, I'm 4 or 5 years old. I can't read. I'm going to the bathroom that's under the shelter. And the owner said, you can't go there. I'm like, I gotta go pee. But I couldn't go there, so I go back and I tell my grandma, I said, Grandma, I can't go in there. He won't let me go. She said, go around. That was my first acknowledgement that I was different. The very first time that I knew I was different. So it really, and that kind of stuck with me, because till to this day I can still see that building, the lake and everything else, and it was marked, whites here, colors on the outside.
I come from a city, Camden, New Jersey, and Camden, New Jersey experienced a lot of issues during the civil rights movement, actually 2 race riots that ended up burning half the city down. The city to this day is still never recovered. But I do always remember my grandmother had 2 pictures over her fireplace mantel, one of Martin Luther King and one of President Kennedy. So it was always something that we talked about in our family, and we always were made aware of the issues that her generation and the previous generations had fought for.
I came from Cuba when I was very young in 1961, and when I came from Cuba as a refugee, I didn't speak any English, and we were in an orphanage for about 1.5 years, my twin sister and I. I remember clearly as a child when Dr. King was actually assassinated, and the riots, the national riots that happened after that, and the sadness, that he was killed at such a young age.
I've seen so many changes. I see things now that amazes me. Who would ever expect the city manager to be African American or to have a former black chief in Greenville? Nobody would expect that. Even in my position, I have moved up. I would have never expected to be in this position. And it was because Martin Luther King that I've made the position that I am. It is because of him that I was able to go to any school that I wanted to go to.
Well, Dr. King was a man ahead of his time there. As far as the contents of his speech there, if you read it, that the remarks that he said in there, meaning that we are all God's children. So therefore, if we just look at it that way there, I think we will even move forward even more so.
My father used to say we're all created equal, and God created us all equal, and that was something that he taught us from the time we were very small. And I've always known that. It's got nothing to do with a skin color. It's got to do with the character of that person.
We try to set the example for children and show them the right way, but sometimes children can actually set the example for us. I take my son to the playground or to the park, and you notice these children, they don't understand race, they don't understand nationality. All they understand is that there's somebody that they get along with, and they're there to have fun or enjoy their time together. And you'll see they're playing and they're mingling along, and that's something definitely I think as adults we can learn from children.
A lot of folks used to think of Martin Luther King as Moses, lead my people, and he is sort of a Moses, because he did lead a lot of people, because if it hadn't been for him, I don't think we would be where we are now.
I'm a firm believer that if you have the proper education and you get the proper opportunity, you could go a long way. That no matter who you are, what ethnic background you're from, what religion, what color, that you could go far.
We need to see people for who they are. That's what we need to do. I think, be kind, be nice, and treat somebody else the way that you would like them to treat you. And if we all behave that way, we're not going to have any problems.
So I guess my hope for race relations in this country is that one day we won't have to talk about it, that it won't be an issue. It will be something that we don't even think about, that when we see somebody, we will never wonder what the race they are, what nationality they are. We'll just simply view them as human beings.